Obviously, the movie Think Like a Man was written by Steve Harvey. I read that you didn't have the greatest relationship with Steve.
See, that's the headline. Dude put me in like a broke down closet with no mirror, no bathroom, and I'm going, and I'm standing outside, and he's like, yeah, this is where you're gonna stay. And
got it, Steve Harvey. And then, you know, Steve can be kind of standoffish. And I remember that Detroit show between Kat and Steve.
Harvey Steve together with fellow comic Steve Harvey.
Guest. He pulled me aside and was like, he's telling me like, I'm about to move this show to LA. We're gonna make it a nighttime feel, but a daytime talk show, but I wanna bring you on.
When asked if he had a good relationship with Harvey, the Think Like a Man star told Shannon Sharpe that he's always been cool with the comedian that's making headlines. Owen worked as the announcer for about 2 weeks during the talk show's run from 2012 to 2017. The ride-along actor talked about his experience on the show and even brought up Harvey's stepdaughter, model Lori Harvey, during their conversation. Steve and I have always gotten along well. The whole thing started when he moved his talk show from Chicago to Los Angeles. One day, I was a guest on one of his shows, and he pulled me aside and said, I'm about to move this show to law. We're going to make it a nighttime feel, but a daytime talk show, but I want to bring you on as like a co-host. Owen added that after a few months, a producer called him to discuss the gig. I don't think he knew who I was, said Owen. I think he was looking at this like this is a favor, like I don't have anything going on in my life, right? The 49-year-old said. I could tell by the tone of conversation that he did not sign a contract but agreed to do the show for 2 weeks to see how things went. On his first day, he was placed in a beautiful dressing room, but later on, the show's guest comedian Chelsea Handler claimed it was her old dressing room, and Owen added that a staff member took him to another dressing room. At first, I thought, that's fine, just this episode I'm walking around. But then the man put him in what appear. Owen shared that when he requested a better dressing room, black women came to his aid. Noting that a white man had been helping him earlier, one of the black women stepped up and said she knew who I was. Owen added that the woman had given him a small dressing room with a small television set, couch and bathroom, and he was good. After only receiving the statutory minimum and losing money from not traveling to perform stand-up, Owen eventually left the show. During a hip-hop concert, he had earned 3 times as much.
Like, whoa, I just came to a show. And then Kat was like, yo, it's a comedy knockout, you know, it's a fight. And then
after being offered an additional 2 weeks and not receiving the money he requested, the actor said he turned down the role. He joked that Lori was to blame, saying, "You're not going to defend her. You're not going to defend her," adding, "You're not going to defend Lori Harvey, another black woman you don't defend." Owen mentioned that Sharpe had received backlash for dating white women. Harvey has previously been accused of mistreating people he works with. Fans have removed videos of Mark Curry accusing Harvey of stealing his Halloween joke after Cat Williams claimed that Cedric the Entertainer, his co-star on Kings of Comedy, had stolen the joke for their special. On his podcast Get Some with Gary Owen, Gary Owen initially spoke out to discuss his past experience working with Harvey on his talk program. "I just finished filming 3 episodes of Hip Hop Squares, the show that Dee Davis used to host. I made 4 times as much money doing this as I did during the 2 weeks that I spent doing the Steve Harvey show." He said that there were only 2 people on the show every week, me and Steve Owen, who also noted that he served as the voice announcer. "I basically told them to give it up for Steve Harvey while I announced the guests and returned to my dressing room."
My material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
On what show?
When he was on his the show he had.
Harvey purportedly approached Owen later on about financial gain and bringing him on as a sidekick of the show and a spin-off with the 2 comics, but Owen got suspicious right away after a lunch meeting with one of the talk show producers who rejected all of his comedy pitches. "No, we'll handle that. We'll handle the sketches," Owen reportedly said, adding that as an artist, he wanted creative control over how he made people laugh. "You ain't going to tell me that whatever you're coming up with is funnier than what I'm coming up with," said The 49-year-old Owen claimed he was paid minimum salary over those 2 weeks and that he did not participate in any of the show routines. Owen says that while he was unsure of whether he would be hired, in particular, he realized he couldn't make ends meet on that meager living pay. He also said, essentially, that he couldn't take a month off. The world first became aware of Steve Harvey's darker side in 2017. The seasoned comedian talked about the shocking staff memo that had been leaked in May, which contained the following: "Do not come to my dressing room unless invited. Do not approach me while I'm in the makeup chair unless I ask to speak with you directly. Do not take offense to the new way of doing business. It is for the good of my personal life and enjoyment." A few days later, a staff member from Harvey's Chicago-based talk show leaked the memo. Harvey met with reporters at the Television Critics Association press tour in Beverly Hills, California, and discussed the memo right away, making jokes about the incident. In true Harvey fashion, I learned 2 things from the incident. Harvey stated, as per a range of sources, "I thought it was adorable that you all weren't taking things seriously. It was something I wrote a year ago about someone who didn't get a job after arriving to Los Angeles, and they kept being lighthearted." The Steve host clarified that he was unaware of the gravity of the incident until it was reported nationally. "I was all right up until I saw it on CNN, at which point I realized I was in serious trouble." He claimed the email was public knowledge, but "I don't mind at all because I'm a really nice man who gets along well with most people." According to Shane Farley, executive producer Steve, although this wasn't the first time Harvey had spoken out about the leaked note near the time of its release in May, he claimed that the staff members were ambushing him, which gave him justification to handle it in this specific manner. Only about 10 out of 60 staff members from Chicago were moving to Los Angeles for the show. "I was having trouble finding a way to get from the stage to my dressing room, sit in my makeup chair, and have lunch without someone just strolling in," he explained. "I've always had a policy where you know you can come and talk to me. So many people are great around here, but some of them just started taking advantage of it." He continued, "Look, man, I'm in my makeup chair and they walk into the room I'm having lunch, and they walk and they don't knock. I'm in the hallway and I'm getting ambushed by people with friends who come to the show and have me sign this and do this." I simply said, "Wait a minute," realizing that in retrospect I probably should have handled it a little bit differently. In the past, Harvey faced accusations of fraud from his former employee. The disgruntled party alleged that Harvey had taken advantage of him by not paying him thousands of dollars that he had raised for Harvey's charity. Todd Frank, the comedian's agent at the time, refuted the claims, stating that they sounded phony. Ex-employee Vincent Dimmy, who pressed charges of charity fraud, claimed that Harvey hired him in April 2017 to help raise $20 million for the Steve and Marjorie Foundation, as well as other ventures. According to TMZ, in return for raising the funds, Dimmy was said to receive 12.5% of everything he brought into the foundation. In the lawsuit, Dimmy said he delivered $1 million to the foundation through his great connections. However, Harvey apparently refused to pay Dimmick after finishing the job and seemed to have no intention of paying him at all. Dimmick also claims that while working with Harvey, he gained insight into what the TV host really thought about his fellow entertainers. He revealed that during an investor meeting with Harvey in May of that same year, Harvey blamed Oprah and Tyler Perry for giving him bad financial advice, and also claimed that Barack Obama was the culprit behind his terrible meeting with Donald Trump a year before. Harvey was accused of being the veteran known as the man with 10 jobs found himself in hot water after one of his former employees tried to get $5 million out of him for some allegedly racist comments he made on tape, according to Radar Online. The former employee, Dallas native Joseph Cooper, claimed to have videotaped footage of the talk show host going off in a racist tirade about white people, allegedly spewing comments like "spit on white people" and "go assault old white women." But in a countersuit of his own, Harvey asserted in court documents that Cooper was attempting to extort him by selling old videos of his comedic routines from over 20 years ago. The Family Feud host claimed in the court filings that Cooper had launched a campaign to essentially extort me and embarrass me as I start to build my entertainment career. To exacerbate the situation, it was revealed that Joseph had been trying to auction off the tapes to Harvey's employers whenever he was hired for a gig in order to notify them of potentially embarrassing material and/or tapes and try to persuade Harvey to pay for the tapes. The recent drama surrounding Harvey began with fellow comedian Cat Williams. The Atlanta star reignited their years-long feud, with Harvey accusing the Family Feud host of failing to break through in Hollywood and stealing from another comic speaking in January's episode of the Club sh*T. Joseph's grievance with Harvey is obviously personal. In an interview with Radar Online, he called the television personality the worst person that's ever been on television. Mark Curry's sitcom was allegedly plagiarized by Harvey, according to the shady podcast C80. When creating the Steve Harvey Show, Steve spent time with Mr. Cooper. This is the same Steve that watched Mark Curry film his whole sitcom and then took credit for everything he said. The Cooper sitcom aired on ABC for 5 seasons between 1992 and 1997. Harvey's sitcom, Anonymous, ran on the now-defunct WB network from 1996 to 2002. The actor added that Harvey wasn't talented enough to be a movie star, saying that you couldn't be a movie star. The actor went on to say that there are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year, and none of them ask for a black country bumpkin who can't talk well and look like Mr. Potato Head. Harvey's feud first came to light in 2008 when the actor tried to put Harvey in a stand-up comedy match. The two performed on the same bill in Detroit on New Year's Eve of that year, and Cat made several personal jokes about Harvey. After his recent podcast interview with the former NFL tight end Shannon Sharpe went viral, fans started to resurface old clips of Curry accusing Harvey of stealing his comedic material. Curry claimed that the two had a falling out because Harvey had utilized his writing on Steve's talk program on NBC.